Dr. Manhattan versus Alien X. Two of the most powerful godlike beings out there. But in this fight of sheer omnipotence, well, who's gonna be the last one standing? Really, is it even gonna be close? Let's get into it. Dr. Manhattan, also known as John Osterman, was just your average physicist until he became a being with godlike powers. His origin story starts in Watchmen, a classic series that will really make you question your own existence. In this story, John Osterman was working in his laboratory when he got caught in an intrinsic field subtractor, which is just a fancy way of saying he was disintegrated and killed. But then he was reassembled again on a quantum level, giving him godlike powers. So what are Dr. Manhattan's powers, you might be asking? Good question. Well, for starters, he can manipulate matter and energy, create and destroy life, and even manipulate time itself. Basically, he's the ultimate cheat code. He can teleport anywhere in the world instantly, which means he never has to deal with traffic. And he's virtually indestructible, so you can forget about trying to fight him. He can create objects out of thin air. He can even raise the dead. That's literally just scratching the surface here. Dr. Manhattan's powers also extend to his sense of time. He has a complete understanding of time as a linear concept, meaning he can see the past, present, and future all at once. This makes it easy for him to predict events and make strategic decisions. In other words, he's always the smartest guy in the room, always multiple steps ahead of everyone around him. And then another thing that makes Dr. Manhattan truly powerful is actually his complete detachment from his emotions. Believe it or not, he doesn't feel happiness, he doesn't feel love, he doesn't even feel hatred or anger, he just doesn't feel. And because of that, it actually allows him to make decisions and take actions that would be impossible for pretty much any hero in the DC universe. And sometimes that's not always the best thing. Remember how Manhattan has a completely different view of time than we do? How he can see time as an actual concept and perceive the past, present, and future all at the same time? But how he can exist in all time, everywhere, all the time, literally being in every timeline at once? Well, this allows him to play out alternate timelines, see the future and the past, and how it all plays out. And not just that, but actually allows him to manipulate different events and change the course of history. Like he could prevent Jor-El from dying in Krypton's explosion, that sort of thing. He can change the outcome of any fight or battle, even change the course of your own personal life. Obviously, this makes him insanely powerful in DC, but it doesn't just stop there. Because he doesn't just manipulate events within the timeline. Manhattan can actually manipulate whole timelines, which leads us to Flashpoint and the New 52. Flashpoint is a massive comic book crossover event that has some pretty major implications for the DC universe. In the story, The Flash, Barry Allen travels back in time to save his mother's life. But in doing so, he accidentally creates a new timeline where the world is drastically different from what he remembers. Superman was captured by the US government as a baby, Bruce Wayne was shot in that alley, and Thomas Wayne became Batman. Atlantis and Themyscira were at war with each other. The world is basically a shit show. And so Flash tries to reverse it and set everything right. But that didn't really work out that way. Instead, the New 52 was formed, a major reboot for DC Comics and their continuity. A lot of characters had their histories and backstories altered and rewritten. A lot of the major events and storylines for DC were just wiped out. And Superman stopped wearing his underwear on the outside of his pants. Only turns out none of this was the Flash at all. He didn't cause any of this. It was actually Dr. Manhattan. He was the cause behind Flashpoint, and casually was able to destroy that whole universe. He was the one who managed to remove 10 years from the main DC timeline and start the New 52 universe, basically using it as his own petri dish and science experiment as he explored the nature of time and all its causalities. Of course, this couldn't last for forever, and when it came to an end, a lot of unintended consequences came along with it. And that's Doomsday Clock right there. The events of Doomsday Clock take place in the aftermath of the DC Rebirth event, which saw the return of Wally West and all the other characters who had previously been erased from DC continuity. Things are beginning to set themselves back to the proper balance of things, and it's revealed that Dr. Manhattan is the one responsible for all these changes to the DC timeline, the puppet master behind the scenes, playing everybody and manipulating everything. And obviously our heroes aren't too happy with this. They don't really like being played like that, so they try and stop Manhattan from manipulating their world. And Manhattan basically beats half the heroes with just a wave of his hand. He easily absorbed the Green Lantern's powers. Magic is just a statistical anomaly to him that he can easily manipulate. Literally no hero could stand in his way. I mean, sure, they tried, but they all failed. Because, of course they did. This is a literal god they're facing down. And not like how Wonder Woman is a goddess, or Superman is just as powerful as a god. Literally a god. Capital G kind of god. Basically, no one could beat him. Only way Doomsday Clock ended was with Manhattan realizing the error of his ways and restoring the memories and histories of all the different characters who had been affected, effectively ending the New 52 continuity. But you want to know how he did this? Well, he took the DC Metaverse, a single unique universe, and destroyed the whole thing, then restarted and kicked it off again, this time without him intervening. He ultimately decided to leave the DC universe altogether, believing it was better to leave it alone to heal on its own. Ben Tennyson was a rather unremarkable kid who was about to go on what could be the most boring summer road trip ever, with his granddad and a cousin he could barely get along with. However, it just so happens that one of the most powerful devices in the universe crashed into Earth, physically bonding with him and giving him the ability to transform into 10 different alien forms. So it turned out to be a much more interesting summer than he could have ever imagined. From fighting petty criminals, to being chased down by an intergalactic criminal warlord, to even saving the universe. And even then, it was only the start. Ben's adventures would span years, going all the way to his time as a teenager, making allies out of his family, and even his former arch-nemesis, Kevin 11. Ben's powers all come from the Omnitrix, the creation of the most intelligent mind in the universe. While it was originally a tool for peace, allowing species to walk a mile in another's shoes, of course it was twisted to becoming a tool of destruction and a weapon of war. But when it crashed into it on Earth, well, Ben was able to use it for another purpose altogether, to become a hero. The Omnitrix allows Ben to instantly transform into any alien, gaining all the powers and abilities of the alien in the process. And while originally was limited to just 10 different aliens, now Ben has over 70 different aliens at his disposal, although technically in canon, he actually has over 1 million different aliens, just that we've only ever really seen 70 of them. Whenever Ben has master control over the Omnitrix, well, he can instantly switch into any alien that he wants at any time. He no longer has a time limit that he has to abide by, and the Omnitrix is so overpowered that if Ben is ever in life-threatening danger from an attack, well, the Omnitrix will instantly transform him into any alien that would allow him to survive that attack. But while Ben has all sorts of aliens, today we're just going to be focusing in on one of them, easily his most powerful one, Alien X. Alien X is the Omnitrix's DNA sample of a celestial sapien, a species of powerful reality benders limited in their actions so that the two consciousnesses that live inside the alien have to be in agreement in order to do anything. This originally limited Ben, but now Ben's been given full control over Alien X, so it's not really an issue anymore. Now, Alien X is incredibly powerful. He is easily a universal being, being able to effortlessly destroy and recreate entire universes at will. He's repeatedly been said to be the most powerful being in all the Ben 10 universe. And along with that comes the ability to do literally anything and everything. He's not technically omnipotent, omniscient, or omnipresent, as Ben's DNA is there in the alien as well, but being nigh omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent really isn't too shabby. So, who wins? Well, let's break it down. Now, for coming from Ben 10, Alien X is undeniably one of the most powerful characters out there. Like, for starters, he's got the ability to literally destroy whole universes and recreate them at will. Alien X has the power to just simply wipe out the universes altogether and do it with just a thought. On top of that, in canon, Alien X scales above the Chrono Navigator, an item that can destroy everything, all of existence, all of time, and causality itself. And really, this also includes everything's individual history, including multiple space-time continuums, the white void, which is a dimension of nothingness with no space-time, and destroy mana, which is energy that isn't bound by any laws. And Alien X, in canon, scales above this thing. So yeah, Alien X is plenty powerful. In fact, Alien X and Dr. Manhattan, for that matter, are both made out to be the end-all, be-all, all-powerful gods of their respective universes, top of the hierarchy in their series. The thing is, though, top of the hierarchy has different meanings depending on the universe, and where Alien X is more or less universal in power, Manhattan has demonstrated being far beyond that and having more power than universal beings, much closer to actual omnipotence as opposed to having universal level feats like Alien X. Like, Mr. Mix was scared of Dr. Manhattan, which is kinda crazy to sit and think about. And it actually paints a pretty clear picture of Dr. Manhattan being above Alien X. Because just like Alien X was able to reconstruct a universe, well, Mr. Mix can do the exact same thing. He sees the universe as nothing more than a game that he can manipulate, control, or destroy at will, and do so with ease. And that's like the bare minimum of what Mr. Mix is able to do. You can easily scale him to multiversal or higher, and he's terrified of Dr. Manhattan. And then, of course, there's the time where Batman Who Laughs stole Dr. Manhattan's powers and managed to fight against Perpetua, one of the hands from the greater Omniverse. She was the first creator of the multiverse and the mother of the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and the World Forger. And the Darkest Knight beat her, all with the powers of Dr. Manhattan, in a fight where their clash raged across all levels of reality, that the stories of the multiverse were tearing apart because of them. And then you can undercut Alien X and say that his alien race, Celestial Sapiens, can still be affected by other aliens like Pesky Dust or Topic, and it's now arguable that Alien X isn't truly omnipotent, at least not omnipotent in the same way that someone like Dr. Manhattan has been established to be. Yeah, Dr. Manhattan is for sure winning this one. And it isn't even close.